growing numbers of excess wildfires could outcome in a considerable growth in company emissions, scientists alert. How could indicate achieving the Paris Environment Treaty's purpose of compliance world heat growth so under 2C could be stronger, they tell. This radiation cut pledges by countries are designed to growth the ordinary world heat growth by more than rather than 3C by the end of the age. How would conduct to hazardous environment changing impacts, expert tell. These involve C standard growth, dry spell, wildfires, amongst some excess events. We can't ignore the emissions of wildfires, says Ramon Vallejo, a scholar specializing on flame ecological in the College of Barcelona. Especially now how we are vision-intensive wildfires all about the planet. Though estimates differ and yet conduct uncertainties, several experts say wildfires expense for up to 20% of full world hothouse gas emissions. They are alleged to growth by a few percentage to approximately 30% by the end of the age depending on how the environment changes. It is a dual jinx, told William Law, air scholar in NASA's Goddard Area Flying Center in Maryland. Large wood fires at first conduct to considerable reducing of forest how absorb in company of the ambience and the other losing is they reason considerable sum of hothouse gas emissions. A research over the year, yet, had found how the yearly sum of company released as a outcome of wildfires possessing fall above the history 80 year. It told the major cause was how big areas of wood and savanna had been transformed to earth for cereal above the history few many decades and thus wildfires had diminished. The study, yet, found how the fall was not enormous although the cause over how, expert tell, is the considerably enlarged rate and amount of wildfires. How is reason, they append, down there are now concerns above probable noticeable growth of company emissions. The full world company emissions achieved 32.5 trillion tons recent year, on to the World Power Agent, International Energy Agency. Down there has, yet, not been an accurate quantitative assessment of emissions of latter wildfires and the one in California currently. Several estimates propose how the fire in Northern California recent year released as lot company in a 1 week as which all of the cars and trucks in the country do in a year. How is why several flame expert in how U.S. country terror how its standard of company emissions could jeopardize its advance in the direction meet its hothouse gas reducing targets. Time California and Australia are largest of the period in news story for their wildfires these days. Some regions include as well seen strengthened wildfires newly. Over the year, Greece saw its largest fatal fire time of year in Europe with 1900 as it declared 91 lives. Recent year in Portugal and Spain almost 70 human beings were annihilated by the excess occasion. Wildfires in Sweden the year were else excess instance. Onto the Planet Weather Organization, the fires burned 30,000 hectares of Swedish wood and caused EU disaster answer mechanisms. In Indonesia, wildfires in September and October of 2015 liberated on November 3 teragrams of company per date, the UN's weather agent told. To compare, the everyday produce of company of fossil gas flaming in the Europe Association is 8.9 teragrams. A latter research found how the land's northern forest are now flaming at a bet invisible in at low 10,000 year. Else research published in Environment Communication has signed how if world temperature rose by 3 degrees, Mediterranean Europe could see a 100% growth in wildfires. It added how a growth could conduct to a 40% growth in wildfires. We cannot extrapolate our received information to some wooded regions of the planet, told Dr. Marco Turco, conduct writer of the paper. Yet the projecting is how largest places through the ball will see such strengthened wildfires in a heating environment. Scientists say heating causes more than fires that, in rotate, reason more than heating. Several expert, yet, say hothouse emissions of wildfires are yet diminutive compared to emissions of some humane activities. This California wildfires are huge, told Peter Tanz, of the U.S. Domestic Ocean and Air Authority, NOAA. Yet I wait how the sum of company released is at largest a few percentage of which the U.S. burns every year in manufacturing power, heater and cool of buildings, traffic, etc. Thomas Blacksmith, aide prof in ecological geographical location at the London High School of Economy, LSE, has a such type. These, California, fires are potential, quite minor in regulation of their world deposit to hothouse gases, he told. At any one period, down there are lot fires of a such amount flaming through the earth, he's fair how the one has been shut to inhabited places. Several scientists say the very worry about is flaming of peatland. Lot of them trust the greatest always fire emissions in contemporary times was the Indonesia turf flame in 1997-98. Estimates differ, but the greatest radiation drawing for it is 3.7 trillion metrical ton company. This actual wildcard character is permafrost thawing weather due to environment changing how can do a big sum of northern turf receptive to flame, that was previous inaccessible for flaming, says Draft Degroot, a study scholar in the Canada Wood Facility. Peatland are a really big earth carbon sequestration swimming pool. Scientists as well say the question of wildfires is though more than stimulating compared to cut downward carbon sequestration emissions of flaming of fossil embers. If you wish to, you can really cut downward carbon sequestration emissions of fossil gas flaming activities. How is thing by yours monitoring, says Professor Vallejo. Yet wildfires are not thing controlled love how. They will occur and will strengthen in a heating planet.